again. I may have done it again. I think we are actually live and everybody's completely missed the introduction. There you go. So forget the countdown. That didn't work. We missed that completely. Good evening and welcome to a very luxurious Martin Dare's back garden, which is a scene from Tenko or Robinson Crusoe. We're not sure which. Welcome back, folks. PJ here from Midlife Models and the DMC, joined again by my cohorts, Mr. Martin Dare from Martin Dare Dinky Restorations. Good evening, Martin.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Laz from Lazi-low Collectibles. He's the boss of the channel. Good evening, Laz.
Bonjour, everyone.
Exactly. Yes. No need to swear. And Luke from Diecast Outlaws, which I'm
Evening, guys.
personal opinions to myself because he'll only swear at me. So there we go. Welcome back. We're on episode 12. Can you believe it, boys? 12 of these we've done already. We've got through a few guests and seen them off, and we've been talking about topics, and this week's going to be another topic. And I've badly called it others, because not others, like Mr. Dare thought I said, it's others. We're going to be talking about other stuff that we need to prepare when we put in a model back, before we're in conjunction with painting. So we're doing things like windscreens and axles and that kind of thing. So let's get the preamble out of the way. You can find us on Facebook on the DMC, Diecast and Modelers Community. Next month, coming up this month, we've got our Any Land Rover event that we've already got 12 entries into that. So looking forward to being able to put the video gallery together, and that will be shown on our DMC our DMC YouTube channel. In September, we've got our Paint It Blue event coming up, where there's one rule. You won't be surprised to know it's paint it blue. So if you've got a model or a plastic kit or a wooden kit, anything die-cast, paint it blue, and it's a big charity event where we've got a fundraising page, a GoFundMe page that goes to the Alzheimer's Society, and we've been doing this. This is our 4th year, and we've already raised over £630 over the last 3 years. So my thanks go to everybody that's taken part in doing this in the past. It's a great event, a bit of fun, and it also does a bit for charity. So there's that. What else? Tomorrow, 3 out of the 4. Well, no, 3 out of the 4 of us. We're going to be meeting up at Stafford Showgrounds for the Toy Collectors Fair. This is, I don't know, 5-6 times now, Mark, that we've done this.
Yeah, getting on close to that, isn't it?
Yeah. We're going to be joined by Luke. Andy Bourne's going to be there as well from Andy's Garage, Diecast Garage. Luke, Laz is refusing to pay the plane fare to come over, I'm afraid, so he won't be there. But you can come and meet us if you're in the Stafford or in the East Midlands, West Midlands area. It's ideal time to come and meet up with us. We'll do some photo shoots. We're going to go around the toy fair, and then this started last time we met up, so it was this year, wasn't it? We're doing a tailgate. Now, a tailgate is where we all pretty much get us cars pretty close together and start swapping cars and stories and gifts and all sorts. So come and find us, come and join us, give us a shout out on Facebook if you're at the fair, and we'll make ourselves known to you. So there's that. Please, by all means, help support the channel by we've got a Patreon account where there's 2 or 3 of us that pay towards this monthly. It's this particular way we do things isn't free. We have to pay a license for the StreamYard so that we can all be online at the same time. And that's it. I think that's covered everything, unless anybody's thought of anything else outside of the topic that I haven't covered. I don't think so. We've got some shout outs and thank yous to say a little further on down the line, because we're going to give people a chance to find where we are first. It always takes a few minutes for people to log on and find us. I can already see that Jessica's online. Hello, mate. How you doing? Welcome back. We've got a crew that kind of is regular now and joining us in the chat. Jerry. So welcome, mate.
Ian's online as well. So evening, Ian, Ali. Mr.
Good
Holly,
evening, Ian.
Evening.
Who I've touched base with recently. The generosity of that guy knows no bounds, and we'll come on to that a little later. However, so before my voice goes and I feel like I'm swamping the lines, we're going to pass this on. We're going to go around the table. It's a bit off the cuff, this is, because we may come up with things we haven't thought about as we're talking this through. But Martin was mentioned the first thing we should be looking at is windscreens. So this isn't taking the windscreen out. We covered this in the disassembly. This is bringing it back to life. And with that all being said, Mr. Dare, I will quite happily pass over to you for a few minutes. And how do you go about repairing or replacing or whatever you do with your windscreens?
Right, okay. First thing I do
is freeze up. That's fantastic. Oh!
is warm soap and even muck and what's on it for a start off. We'll get rid of that.
Martin, you're gonna have to go back about 10 seconds. You're locked up there for a few seconds.
Oh, did I? Okay, sorry about that. I don't know why that happened.
Take two, son. Take two.
Take two. Yeah, so after removing it from the vehicle, giving it a quick inspection and make sure it's not actually falling apart in your hands. I'll take it over to the sink, give it a good old washing with some soap and water, and rinse it through. Let it stand and dry. Then I'll get a glass cloth and give it a good drying out, just to get the best look of it before we start getting into sanding it. There's different ways of doing it. A lot of people, you can use wet and dry sandpaper, different grades. I prefer the dry sponge sanders. There's lots of different ways of doing that. There's auto solve, but once you've inspected it, you can have a look to see how deep the scratches are, whether they're scratches or they're cracks right through. As we all know, we've all seen on the videos that once they put that, they screw that rivet down on the roof, most of them crack across the roof line and underneath where they put the press down and it puts pressure on it. And if the roof doesn't sit flat, you get a crack. And if you're lucky, it doesn't go any further than the where you can see it. But I usually like to have a look and judge whether or not I'm going to use a really rough sandpaper, something like, I don't know, 200 maybe, something like 120, 200, depending on how deep the scratches are. You can generally have a proper look and see that they're pitted or really deeply scratched. And start off with the rough stuff and then work your way around, all around the windscreen, back and front. And then just gradually work your way up the papers up to, and I'll finish off with a buffer. I use the nail buffers you can get from most of the makeup shops and things like a supermarket sell them. If you don't want to go into a woman's shop, you can get them on the supermarket, and stuff like this. Or you can go to your local nail bar and ask them if they've got any that they've chucking out, because 9 times out of 10 that they don't use them right down to the end. And once they get down there, I go up to my local one here and I see the girls in there and I ask them if they got any old nail buffers and stuff, and yeah, they're quite accommodating. Yeah, so it's always worth doing
gets
that.
his nails done at the same time.
To get my nails done at the same time. Yeah. But there, yeah, once I've got the scratches out or the gouges, it's difficult to know, because some windscreens, as you know, are thicker than others. You can really rough sand some down and really go at it and get as much as you can. But some windscreens on window units on some vehicles are a lot thinner than others, and you've got to be careful you don't go burn through it. Even when you're sanding, you've got to be careful not to generate the heat, even with a sanding pad. That's where your wet and dry comes in handy. You prefer to do that. You don't get the heat build up into plastic, because what'll happen then, it'll start to pick up and curl up on your surface. So wet and dry is good for that. It keeps it. But I like to see it's just different techniques. Different people have different techniques, really. End of the day, how to do it. But I prefer the dry sanding. But I have done also scraping. if on bus windows, especially if they're really bad, you can get a nice sharp knife on the flat and scrape it along. That'll flatten out any imperfections, and it can also get Texas shaving off the top, and then you can sand it and bring it up to respectable. Sometimes you never get them all out. I mean, you can work and work and work. I mean, I've worked hours and hours on windscreens and still got blemishes in them because they get discolored. They're not great from the factory. There's all manner of things, but it's no point putting glue in to mend a crack, because you're always going to see that crack no matter what you put in to fill it. You're always going to get it. I've tried sprue glue, which is a mixture of Tamiya extra thin glue, and I'll put broken plastic screws in them, and it melts and it makes up what we call a sprue glue.
Oh.
And you can put that on, so it's like a liquid plastic, but you still get that, you still see that line. It's never perfect. So either buying a new screen, or you can cut the section out and put some clear plastic from any vac forming what's got clear plastic, or you can use acetate sheet, anything like that. You can get it to save buying a new unit, because some of the new units don't always fit right, as we know. No matter where you get them from, they don't always fit right. Regarding afterwards, once it's polished up, I tend to, once I've got it to the buffer stage, I give it a wipe over the glass cloth, and then I put it in some clear, which is liquid clear, which is a lot of people, you can use Astonish wood floor polish, or you can use that expensive stuff. I haven't got that. Yeah, then Revive It. That's very, very dear. But I've got the original Revive It, which was the original clear, which has got the K, but with the K, clear with the K. And I've had that for years. It still works. Or you can use that gauzy. They call it gauzy. You can use that. I think that's a little bit thicker, isn't it, Luke? Do you use that gauzy?
Yeah, I've got it here, Martin. The stuff there.
That's it. Yeah.
It's not bad stuff, that, actually. Yeah. It's all right. It's all right.
But yeah, so if you're going to use a liquid clear, like the clear all the, you make sure when you're dipping it that you get all your air bubbles out. Because otherwise, that'll mark it. If you don't get your air bubbles out, you're going to give them a little blow, or just put it back in again and get it at an angle that it's not going to get bubbles on it, the air bubbles on the inside, because that will mark your window unit. Yeah. So that's how I do mine anyway. So up to anybody else who does theirs. However,
Luke, any differences? Anything else or additions you do? That
pretty much the same as what Martin does, PJ. I tend to wet and dry it down. I usually start anywhere between 600 and 800 wet and dry. So I can work my way up to sometimes 5,000, depending on how good the screen is or how bad it is. Like I say, I do use the glass coat occasionally, not all the time. Once I've got it to where I've got rid of the scratches, all the deep scratches anyway, I tend just to polish it back with a little polishing just on the Dremel. These are changeable heads to obviously hold on, where are we? You can get firmer or softer pads for it. I tend to just use a bit of C-cup. That works brilliant on the glass.
Yeah.
But I have in the past, especially ones that have tinted or haven't been that good, they haven't cleaned up well. I tend just to sort of flatten them to around 3,000, and I'll clear coat them with the same lacquer that I use on the cars, and they come up really nice once you've done that.
Okay. Laz, anything you do slightly different?
Yeah, I just remembered, as Luke was saying, that use the same clear as you use on the car. I used to use actually the clear spray on the windscreens, but I don't do that anymore, because sometimes they were not too shiny. So, but yeah, I do the same like the others, like Martin and Luke. I use normally 1,200, 1,500, 2,000, sometimes 3,000 as well. And I'm currently restoring one Matchbox MG 1100, and I've got 3 of them. I've got 3 of them. One is okay. That's all the parts are good. The other 2 has problems in the windscreens. One has a crack on the front. The other one has a crack at the back. So what I'm going to do is, I took both of them apart already, and I'm going to cut the windscreen half on the roof line inside. I leave a little bit gap, and then I'm going to use both the good ones, one from the front, one from the back, and I can make one good. So I will glue them in separately. I've done this before in the past. You know, it's just a way to save, not to buy another windscreen really. And I will have another car, you know, like a chassis and the interior, base, wheels, everything. I'll put that away, and if I have another MG 1100 with something else cracked or broken, but the windscreen is good, I can restore that as well. So yeah, but normally I do the same 1200, 1500, 2000, 3000, and then I dip it into revive. And yeah, I always make sure that I don't have excess clear, because you know, if you don't get them all off, you can see when it's dry that it has extra, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
Thickness with it if you're not careful.
Yeah. But yeah, I normally do the same things. So yeah, like the others. I don't use dry. So I do wet sanding.
Yeah. Good stuff. Before I give my 2 pence worth, just say hello to Henrik that's joined us. Mick's there as well. Good evening, chap. Jerry's there. And again, hello to Ian.
Yeah, I just before you carry on, Ian's just messaged me and said that he's watched a video, Luke, on the MG. He said it's that paint finish is just like glass. He said superb.
Thank you, Ian. Much appreciated, mate.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I think it's too shiny.
Well, you know what? About the MG onto the window screens, no matter what I did to that, I could not get that screen up. It's really murky. But it just goes to show, no matter how much time you put in, sometimes it is down to the material that it's been made with.
Yeah. From the plastic.
That can be quite frustrating when you've. I mean, you and Laz have got a bit of a competition going on about who's got the finest finish with paint. But it's all in good humour.
Luke has. He's a professional. He's a professional.
Don't be humble, for God's sake. You're on the DMC. We don't do humble. You
trying to talk me into bed, aren't you, lads?
No, he's a professional. He's a professional. He's good.
But that's frustrating when you get the body of the vehicle pristine, and you've got that one part that's throwing at a wobbler, like you've got a crack in the windscreen or something like that, which can be quite frustrating.
I will at some point replace that. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, this is why we go to the places like Stafford. We look for replacement parts, if nothing else. We'll probably spend more on replacement parts than we did on the vehicle in the first place, but that's the nature of the beast, I'm afraid. So what I found recently, the way that I do mine, Martin will tell you, I had no confidence in doing windscreens at one point. I just thought, this is sandpaper and windscreens don't go together. It was just, the logic didn't work for me. You know, you're just scratching something even more than it started off. But I persevered, and recently I found these. I'll show you. And if anybody wants the details on these, by all means, drop a line in the DMC. But I found these wet and dry pads on Amazon, and they start at 600, and they go up to 3,000. And you get 54 of them, so it's not like I'm short of these pads.
Yeah, good old, good few there.
You get a good old, it's worth it, mate. They're probably about 12 quid. They're not cheap, and it takes a while to get here from Vancouver and New York and God knows where else around the US they went. But they're really good. They're really good. Good evening, Play-Ups. Good evening. And So I attacked. If you've been on the DMC recently, I put a picture of a Land Rover that I was doing, and the windscreen was all covered in gloss paint and whatever you like. Firstly, I attacked it with methylated spirits to soften the paint up a bit, and that got rid of quite a bit. And then I thought, well, you know, I could always replace. I could always purchase a replacement part. So I had to go at it with these pads, and I got it to the 3000, and you can see. It's amazing how the transformation. You can see the scratches on it start to appear when you're sanding it, and then as you get higher and higher with the grits, you can see them start to disappear. It's like magic, Harry. You're a wizard. It's amazing to see lines disappear that you've added in the first place, and it starts to come clear. And then I'm going to give a shout out to our friend, our good friend Ron from Sumu Diecast, who recommended, if you watch his channel, he uses a polish called Nuvo, Nuvos. It's a plastic polish, and I use a tack light with a sponge on it, like Luke's showing with his Dremel there, and it brought it up crystal clear. I could not believe it. I was blown away. So that's done my confidence a lot of good with the sanding pads, and you know, don't give up. It will come back to you. I'm a big confidence person, me, and somebody will need to say, get your finger out your butt and do it and have a go, and it come out really well.
I will add to that though, Paul, if you don't mind. That be careful how you're handling the windscreen while you're cleaning it, because if it has got a weak point, you'll snap it. I've done it, snapped it in half, hold it in your fingers, sanding away. You're getting all excited. It's coming up nice. All of a sudden, bang.
Yeah, if you're doing something like that, you almost want to put two fingers behind the front screen to. You want to create a form inside it to buffer it. I wonder if one of them jewelry bags would be a good idea, Mark, for something like this. Yeah,
you could do with something shoving inside, because I mean I've done it a few times. Luckily I've learnt my lesson, but there's on an odd occasion where you think you're okay, and all of a sudden that crack, that because you've been cleaning it and moving around your hand, that crack what was in the top, which you couldn't see, is gradually creeping. So yeah, it might be worth just. That's one of the reasons using a soldering iron will try and stop that. You know, or you can put something in it, but like you say, pad it out. It could always be handy.
Yeah, pad it out. A cheaters. If you've got something like this that's got a broken section in it for where the door is, take it out altogether. It looks like an open window.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
That's one way to get around it. Another way, not necessarily get around something, but to reinforce something. We've used, a lot of us have used this crystal clear in the past. Sorry, I'm not saying this is going to get rid of your crack. What I'm going to say is it just reinforces that crack a little bit. Does that sound bad? Doesn't it? Crack, split. Shall we go with split in your windscreen rather than?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go with split. Yeah.
Are we after the watershed?
It is a family show. Yeah. But it does exactly what it says on the bottle. It does dry. Mark put me onto this. It does dry crystal clear. And as Luke's just said, you've got a part that's got a blemish in it that you can't get rid of. Well, if it's a weak point, reinforce it if nothing else before you put it back together. I've got nothing else. I think that's pretty much covered that, Mark. Any others?
Yeah, I think the only thing I can add to that is when you're replacing the windscreen, putting it back in again. I do use super glue at points, but I'll only use it if it's the area is open, because as we all know, you put super glue on something, and then close it up, it will fog the glass, something rotten.
Yeah, it spreads
so
like
if you're going to use a little bit of super glue on your glass, roll it in place, then don't close it up with anything. Let the fumes go. Or
I use tacky glue.
I've got some tacky glue. I've got tacky glue, and I've got some Yoo-hoo glue and anything like that will do. And
I've
that
been
crystal
using
clear, yeah, that
epoxy
crystal
resin.
clear
Gorilla.
will work.
Yeah,
is good
Yeah.
stuff as well.
Yeah, crystal clear is good.
I used to use the plastic gun. The gun melts the plastic tube, but it was too messy, and after 2 months the windscreen just dropped. So I don't use that because I was thinking it's like mastic, but
yeah. I find sometimes with some of the windscreens that once you removed it from the car, it's not pinned down by that rivet. That I sometimes dry fit it, and then I'll probably take some sand the top of the windscreen so it fits a bit neater underneath in the car itself, rather than, because sometimes where that rivet has been holding it in, hence the crack either side. If you've got even if you glue it, sometimes the window will drop because there's that big gap. It's not sitting flush. You're not getting a flush surface. So sometimes I'll just reshape the roof of the glass just so it fits a bit neater underneath, a bit tidier. That's always worth trying, because sometimes you'll see the edge as you go around, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful sometimes, because sometimes you'll get that odd windscreen that's not meant to be clear. It's meant to be a certain depth of dingy or smoky, if you want. You're trying to clear it up and thinking this is going nowhere, and it's not supposed to be clear. There's some that have got like a brown tint to them.
Yeah,
there is a word of warning there with some of the repo window units.
Yeah,
when you get them, don't try and polish them. If they're a bit cloudy, don't try and polish them, because you'll make it worse.
Because that cloud goes all the way through.
Yeah, they were different. They're using a different plastic. They seem to be using different clear plastic now, and I don't know if anybody else has had that problem. That I had one on one of the buses that I did, and I thought, this is really cloudy, and I wanted to clean it up, and I made it worse.
I'm going to say
excuse me.
good evening to Kev. Kev's joined us. How are you, mate? Good to see you.
Kevin.
Hi, Kev.
We're gonna have to come up with a new term. We've got taverners. We're gonna have to do something with the consistent crew that are joining us on YouTube. We're gonna have to give a shout out, and I don't know what's another version of taverners. We're gonna have to come up with something to award to our guys that are joining us in the chat on a fortnightly basis. It's much appreciated.
Can I add one?
Yeah, go for it, Laz.
Just one more thing. I've done this Mercedes, this little Matchbox Mercedes, the Cabriolet, the convertible, and I bought the windscreen, and it doesn't fit. So sometimes you have to cut. Well, you need to be careful because it's plastic, and it's a square end where it fits under the bonnet, but because the door opening mechanism is there with the little spring, it doesn't fit. So you need to amend a little bit, but you need to be careful because you got the hole for the rivet post, and if you cut too much, it's gonna get too thin. So it's just a warning that you sometimes you have to, even if it's a reproduction part and you think it fits, sometimes you need to work on the new windscreen as well. But obviously you need to be careful because you don't want to crack it and buy another one. But sometimes you see this windscreen was designed for this Mercedes, but it doesn't fit because of the door mechanism.
I'm not convinced that you can get all your just on that topic alone, which could go on for hours.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced that you can get all your spare parts from one place nowadays.
No.
On the price.
Shop around is always best.
Shop around it is, yeah, exactly.
Ian's just dropped a message and said you could possibly tint the inside of the window screen of the window unit.
Yes, you could.
If you can use that Tamiya smoke. I think I can't remember what X number it is. But Tamiya smoke. You could do the inside of the windows, give it a slight tint,
Sorry, I just seen Jerry said a name for people who join us in the chat. The Knights who say Diecast. I like that. That's
The
good.
Knights who not just say ni.
No,
Ni.
we want a shrubbery. It's almost like we want a majorette. We want a
Here we go. It's only a
It's getting
fresh
away
one.
from it. It's getting away from me. Raining back in. I'm trying
Only
to
a fresh one.
knee. Yes.
Pack it in, Jerry. Yeah.
Martin, you have a question. You have a question from Kevin. Have you sent the toy cars yet?
Yes. Yes, I have, Kevin. Yeah. They should be with you probably Tuesday,
Shortly.
I would say. Yeah.
I did realise that usually when we kick off, we do a round robin of what we've been up to this week. So bear with us, folks. That'll be to come. Perhaps that's better that we leave that a bit later because more people have logged on since when we first started. Live and let die, live and let diecast. I like that. That's good. Right. So this is going to. I don't know if this is opening can of worms is the wrong phrase, really. But we've talked about the windscreen. So obviously there are points where we have to talk about repairing the body. We've talked about disassembly, and Martin was conscious about mentioning about the iron that he uses, soldering iron he uses to remove the windscreen and seal it up. So now we're moving on to really the body and what we, if you've got broken pieces or you need to replace parts on the body, where do we go? So let's start with Luke this time. Luke, so you got yourself your diecast, you took it all apart, you replaced your windscreen, it looks fantastic, but you've got problems with the body. What problems have you experienced, and how have you got over body party?
I'm just laughing where Martin run away.
Martin's killing himself now, and he's moved on.
Depends what problems you've got, really, PJ. Whether it's down to the broken pillar or bumpers missing or parts of the bumpers missing. Could even be the dual, the headlights are missing, stuff like that. When I repair a pillar, I try not to deal with the missing, really. If they're cracked, I usually use a bit of glue and a bit of the filings. But getting down to the bumpers, I usually repair them with a little bit of plastic, or even I've done it with filler before now, made a complete side for one. I'm hoping with a 3D printer, which I haven't at the moment, bits like that, I'm hoping I'm going to be replacing it with a printer.
That reminds me, I'm going to see if I can find. Have you got a PC, haven't you, Luke?
Laptop. I haven't got a.
Yeah, you got a laptop.
I've got a laptop.
I'm going to put all them 3D print files onto a memory stick, and I'll bring them up, and you can take it away and save them.
Appreciate that, PJ.
Yeah. So we talk about the body. So, Laz.
I use sometimes. Hello, Martin.
Apologies for that. I had to go.
He's got a broken part. He's had to go and fix. So
I've got broken parts.
I was thinking you were very about the windscreen you just done.
Yeah.
I use super glue and baking powder sometimes, or just put a drop of super glue like Martin does if there's a hole. And sometimes, I don't know if anyone else does this, but when I paint the car already and I still see a very little hole, I sometimes drop a little bit of paint and I let it dry, and then I sand it down. And if you do that carefully, that little drop of paint will fill up the hole. I don't know if you try this.
I'll take the brute approach. I know exactly what you mean, because I've got a chassis that I've done recently, and it's almost like a pinhole where
Yes.
the paint did not cover. It's just a pinhole.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
me being me,
And-
6 coats of the light going backwards and forwards. That'll cover it eventually. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean, mate. I do. Yeah.
I'm just currently doing the Vauxhall Cresta.
Cresta, yeah.
Yeah, and there was I did fill up one hole, but there was still a small, tiny one on the roof, and I said I don't want to put more filler and stuff, so I dropped a bit of paint. I haven't sanded it down yet, but I will do it tomorrow and see if. But it normally works. If you drop a very thick drop of paint in there, that will fill up the hole instead of the filler.
Okay.
Otherwise, I use filler, normal filler. Milliput, not so much. Only if a part is missing. But I normally I have a very soft filler, which dries very hard, and it's easy to sand. So this is how I do it.
I did find some stuff. I should have brought us. Usually, I have a few props to hand to show what we've used. But we'll go to Martin first. Martin, body repairs, my friend. What's involved in your body repairs?
I use Nivea just for men to start with, and then I give it a bit of a buff up. Oh, sorry, yeah, okay.
It's rapidly turning into the tavern if we're not careful.
No, obviously, once it's all been cleaned down and you see if there's any damage, usual thing for holes, you can either the body filler, which I've got some car body filler. If it's depending, sometimes if it's a really tiny hole, I'll do a bit of super glue in them.
Keep talking, Martin.
Better than mixing up a big a portion of filler. If I'm doing window posts, window pillars, window pillars, not pillows.
I don't know before.
I usually use either a split pin or a hair grip. I used to use split pins, but I find them sometimes a bit heavy duty for some of the vehicles, depending on the size of the post that you're trying to repair, thickness wise, because some of the split pins are quite thick, and they can be a bit hard work to manipulate. So I found hair grips to be a little bit softer, easier to bend if you need to put a kink in it, and I find they glue easier. And if you want to scribe a line down to match the existing window pillars, then it's easier to do on that than it is on a cotter pin or split pin. And I tend to then use the baking powder and the super glue method on this, and go around with the file afterwards. Broken bumpers, if it's metal, then I'll fill it up with some epoxy resin or super glue, baking powder. You've got to judge how large the damage is, really, at the end of the day. If it's only a small bit, then you can get away with a bit of super glue, baking powder. Or if it's a bigger piece, then you use some epoxy filler or whatever, one of those fillers. I find mudguards on some of the vehicles, the Bedford Series 1 Corgi, usually got broken mudguards on the back. I usually tend to piece a piece of a tape on the inside and use that to fill onto, whether I'm using body filler or whether I'm using whatever, depending on how bad it is and how thick I want to get it. And I use that bit of tape on that, then peel the tape off afterwards and sand it, stuff like that. Or you can use I use a Coke can or something like that to add a form and do it that way. And the plastic broken parts, I tend to either fill it up with liquid plastic, which is like I was saying about the sprue glue, or bit of filler, depending how bad it is. Or if you've got half your bumpers missing, then you think, oh, well, it's a different kettle of fish. Half your bumpers missing, like the one corner's missing, and it goes under. Then you got to sort of, you draw a pattern of the other side and reverse it over, so I can then put that underneath, and then when I've drawn it, I put the paper on the reverse side, and then I can follow that with the filler and gradually build it up bit at a time. I always do it small bit at a time, let it get hard, then a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. But yeah, that's what I tend to do. But once you've filled it or super glued bits and pieces, then the all important primer over the top, and then you think to yourself, oh, I ain't done a good job, I've got to do some more. You got to keep doing some more, but then gradually build it up. But large areas, like similar to what Luke does, put some filler on, give it a good old going over, bit of guide coat, sand it flush, get it nice and smooth. Yeah, that's the key.
Thanks for covering for me for a minute there. I thought I'd just get a few props together, and I thought, no wonder I've got no money, because the amount of stuff we buy for not even just buying the model, the stuff that we buy to repair the model is ludicrous, really. Just dropping into the chat for a second. Live and let Diecast. I do like that. Martin, Kev saying, okay, Martin, thank you. Enric is saying, for my project, Land Rover never dies. For my project, Land Rover never dies. I think it's yourself that posted on the DMC Facebook.
I did, yeah.
Recently,
I did see that. Yeah, he put an engine in on the front. Yeah.
Yeah. With the engine.
Seen that. Smart.
Yeah, I did.
It's nice to actually see somebody who puts an engine in a vehicle where it's about the right size, because we have an Australian colleague who's put engines in vehicles, and God knows how the driver can ever see past his steering wheel. But nice one, Henrik. Jerry, I like JB Weld for filler. Now, I have to ask, this is something I've always thought about but never got around to buying, is the JB Weld. So
good stuff. It is good stuff.
Mickey saying I use split pins for bumpers. Yeah, split pins.
Yeah, can do.
Pins, call it what you like. With air grips. You've used air grips, haven't you, Mark, in the past?
Yeah, I use air grips all the time, mate. You know, I don't need them anymore. So
that's why you're always falling out with his wife, because half of her gear's missing. Even had a bloody flip-flop by now.
Mate,
for me, right, just to tidy up on a few bits and bobs. Polishing windscreens, I use a Tack Life with the Dremel attachment. Well, I say Dremel. Everybody will go, oh, he's on about it again. Parkside. The Parkside bits will fit any
any brand. Yeah.
They're cheap. Get them. They're worth it. The Novos. It's plastic polish.
They do a complete system of that, don't they? Yeah.
Again, it's not cheap. It's about 11 quid a bottle. It's not a big bottle, but it'll last you. When you're doing windscreens, it'll last you an age.
Oh yeah, it lasts long. I think that's on par with that Maguire's. Very similar to that Maguire's.
And when I got ripped to shreds, but plastic body filler, big boys. Plastic flexi filler.
You get a big boy out of there. There you go.
I did not get this from Ann Summers, by the way. This is straight off. No, I think it's either Screwfix or Tool Station, but it's really good stuff. When I used to work in the joinery industry, we used to have a wood filler where you'd mix 4 and 1, and this is similar to that kind of product, and it works really well, and it goes rock hard.
PJ.
Yes, mate.
Do you want to explain Ann Summers to non-English?
No. In all fairness, I think you're the last person that I'd have to explain that to. You know, traveling around Italy, Hungary, Romania. I think you could teach us a lesson or two. Anyway, moving on. So there you go. So we've talked about the baking powder and the super glue. What I will add to that is be sparingly with that, because if you put too much on, it'll just mold together and break off. But it'll break off in one big lump. It's worth doing it in thin layers, as thin as you can get it. the baking powder is almost like a talcum powder. Sorry, I've already have to leave as my friend has a firework problem. He has to shoot. I don't know how to. So this is Henrik in the chat. Sorry, I already have to leave as my friend has a firework problem. He has to shoot tonight. You must have a very good evening. Wow.
Okay,
we'll put
Rick,
that down
okay.
translation, shall we?
Enjoy. Thanks for joining, Henrik. Anyway,
Enjoy. It's good to see you, my friend.
But be careful. Be careful with the fireworks.
Yeah,
be careful with the fireworks. And your friend. Now, moving on. Anyway, so there we go.
Yeah. Just to say that obviously with the baking powder and super glue, you've got to judge for yourself how big the repair is. I mean, is it really worth trying to? Because you can get in a bit of trouble very quickly with super glue and baking powder if you're not careful. So look at another alternative like the fillers, or the resin bonding, something like that. I mean, the super glue backpack is good, but it can get out of control if you're not careful with it.
One glaring thing that we've missed, obviously, is 3D printing. So if you've got a boot missing, a bonnet missing, we can now get there's a technophobe look in the top there. He's not happy with 3D.
Hey, I've got an Alexa. I got given an Alexa for my birthday.
Right, and that's going to replace your bonnet now.
I can ask it how to do it.
Is that right? And it'll say, if you go to YouTube and look on Martin Dare's Dinky Restorations, they'll tell you how to do it.
No, somebody gave me an Alexa for my birthday. So
right.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to go, Alexa, look up Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. And,
no. Right, moving on.
Right.
The other thing is with repairs, what can come under the same thing would be rescribing some of the castings, what have been bashed with the children's road rage, if you know what I mean. Some bumpers, and if you notice the castings, when you strip them, they're very well detailed. You look at it; they've even got down to the rain gutters on the side of the doors and that, and you will see they're very badly. Some of them, they're all like saw edges all around the end. They've all been chipped and nibbled away. I mean, I usually try and file them as flat as I can without losing it. You know what I mean? Because trying to fill each one of them is a nightmare. But I try and get the file over and try and get that curve and that edge, top side and front edge. Same with bumpers. Bumpers are the same. They get nibbled away. File them, get the shape back in them. And I use I've got a scriber that I used to use for the plastic modelling, and I use that to go around like radiators if they've all been chipped and nibbled, getting in there around the lights, because sometimes the headlights on some of them are a little bit proud, not the light itself, but the surrounding bodywork, and it gets bashed back. And you use a scriber to sort of try and clean out the line and get it more definite. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Because
you're almost, as daft as it sounds, and it's pretty obvious really, but you're looking at repairing these vehicles like you would a full-size vehicle, but you're just scaling down on the tools that you use, the amount of repair products that you use.
I think a lot of it is getting it to look right. I mean, if you've got a car which has been had a few accidents in its time, and the roof is a little bit distorted, you don't necessarily notice it straight away when you buy the car. When you've got the windscreen and you look at it, you think, in your back of your mind, there's something not right. You look at it, you keep looking at it, you say, there's just something not right, and you move it around and you think, you know what, I think that roof's just tilted, just that fraction. You don't need much, and you fraction. And you look at the pillars and you think, that has been knocked to the side. It's not a lot, but it's a bit. But some of them get knocked, especially the older Dinkies with no windscreen units. You'll find they've been knocked to the side, but they've also been twisted front to back. If you look on, I've got a Mayflower up there which has been hit on the corner, and it's moved. The whole roof has moved over to one side. Plus, it's gone on the slant. I mean, that's a tricky repair because that's going to be weak at the pillars, and that's when you got to be careful how you knock it about. You don't want to end up with just a roof in your hand. So yeah, you got to look at things like that and just look at it carefully. Like I say, and I like to see, try and engrave a bit more around the headlight units and tail units, because sometimes you get a lot of flash, and that bit of flash and mold lines gets you in the most awkward places where you think, oh, I'm going to get that out. It's gone across the back light, or it's gone right in a nick between the flute with the wing and the bodywork, and you're trying to get that little bit out. You know, it's where you got to spend some time with your files and your scrapers and your knives and that, just to bring it around, because you can guarantee once you put a cut of primer on it, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. Yeah, really going to stand out.
I mean, it is worth mentioning that we are doing these vehicles for our own satisfaction, not to go in an art gallery or or a museum. So, I've heard it in the past. Well, somebody's criticised my YouTube channel because it doesn't look exactly like it should do. Well, it's your model. You do what you like with it. To be fair,
yeah, don't get too hung up on that. Don't get too hung up on that.
Yeah, because if you try to get it too close, you'll never get it. As soon as you crack that vehicle open, it's no longer original. So you might as well paint it green or pink or orange or whatever. It doesn't matter really.
It's a hobby, and a hobby is about having fun and enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, it's brought a bunch of us. This hobby has brought a bunch of us together, and it's not because we're all as good as each other. We just enjoy the hobby. So, without getting too heavy into that, so Jerry's saying 3D print is like talking Greek to me too, Martin.
I agree, Jerry. Totally agree with you, mate.
The only problem there we've got, Jerry, is we're having problems speaking English to him half the time. Mick is saying I use air clips for posts. Another one. Yeah, absolutely good idea. Fair comment, Mick. Kev is saying might pop my head into the tavern next week. Look forward to seeing you, Kev, if you're there. Emmeric's off to see his friend. Right, so yeah. What's next? We'll cover the body part.
I think we can.
So axles and wheels.
Yeah, just quickly broach the subject on the plastic chassis. The ones what of the chrome plastic chassis, what you get in the Chevy and the James Bond car. Those with
the Mercedes.
Yeah, the plastic lever suspension, which we all know often will break and snap.
Yeah.
And me personally, I use a bit of plastic card, or I can use, depending where it's broken, how much room the axle's going to, how much play is on the axle, how much play you actually need on the axle, because sometimes it can be a plastic card, even that can break or come unglued depending on the strain on it. Or you can use the piano wire, which is like the corgis do with theirs. You can find a location, drill a hole, or put a piece of wire in, which I've done on a few occasions. When I found out the plastic card's not going to hold, because sometimes some of them chassis, plastic chassis, they're made out like a waxy plastic, and it's sometimes you get bugger all to glue to that. No matter how much glue you use, it's not happening. So I usually find a place I can drill a hole, put a piece of wire in. You can use a paper clip, so you've got the hoop at the end, and you can use that to get a bit more stability on the axle. That's how I repair my pieces like that anyway.
Yeah,
because I think that's
it's worth mentioning that if you're not a regular and you come and you don't talk to us in the tavern, by all means ask the question in the DMC chat. What products do you use to do this, that, or the other? Because there's at least 4 of us with 4 different opinions of where we get our replacement materials from. I'm not talking about the actual body parts, but like Martin says, piano wire. Martin calls it plastic card. I'll call it styrene. Somebody else might call it something else and something else, like different paints, glues, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Please ask in the chat.
Yeah, that's a chassis.
Laz,
that's what we're
you're muted, Laz, for some reason.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. Oh no, I've muted you again. Don't want you to talk. Carry on, son. Sorry about that, mate.
So yeah, I just wanted to show you one of these. What Martin was saying. This is the plastic suspension with the. This is for a Stingray.
The Corvette, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and yeah. So this, if I put it right, this is the suspension for the tires for the axles, and they often broken.
Yeah.
These ones. So
Yeah,
sometimes
people would repair them.
Yeah.
I bought the perfect tool for repairing them.
I mean,
sorry, Laz, go on, mate. I'll tell you in a minute.
no, I just wanted to say that's why, because Martin said it's difficult to repair them. That's why, you see, I've got 3 of these cars. So that's why I keep so many of these cars.
Yeah.
If one has something, you see, then you can always look the other one if that one has a better part, or better wheel, better windscreen. I'm gonna do one from these 3. So, and because you see, I don't have a 3D printer, I can't do these grills. So that's why I'm going to do this one, because this doesn't have the grill.
Yeah.
But the windscreen is busted in this one. But the windscreen in this is good as well. So I'll make one good car from 3.
Well, we're going to have it might be the week that Martin decides to leave the country and go on holiday, but we are going to have a 3D printing episode, which is he will run for the hills.
No, I'll sit and watch, but it'd be like one of them Vietnam soldiers. I have a 1,000-yard stare going on. You know what I mean?
But it's not just as simple as having it. You can go out and buy a 3D printer. It doesn't solve all the problems. The 3D printers are only as good as if the replacement part plan is out there, or you've got the wherewithal to be able to manipulate an existing plan. You know, and fit what you want.
It's another tool.
It's
another tool. Yeah, I mean, it's another tool to use.
I mean, we're going to do an episode about towards the back end of the year called tools and what we all use. But it's amazing, even in the 4-year period that I've been doing this, what's changed. You know, what not new tools, inventions, ways of doing things, processes have come out over that period of time. And as much as Mr. Dares, we're having to drag him into the 21st century, like at times. He knows what I mean. Me and Luca, we're having a bit of fun with this 3D printing, but it's now what used to be Hollywood has now come down to the normal bloke, where you can scan something and recreate it yourself. Well, that used to be Star Wars stuff to me back in the day, like, you know, only industrial
CGI
could do that. Yeah, you know, but now we can. It's within our grasp to be able to do these parts. But you still got to have that spare part to be able to scan it, to print it, to paint it. You know, luckily we know an Australian's got probably every spare part, and a guy that lives in Romania has got every spare part that we could possibly want.
Yeah, I've just had a message from Mr. Hulley. You can use narrow gauge chrome strip from Auto Factors on a roll to use as bumpers. Is easily molded to the body.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
There you go.
And before we get onto 3D printers, Luke was going to mention how he repaired his suspension bits.
Yes, he was.
Yes. Now, I used to use a tool a long time, a few years ago now when I was doing bodywork. I used to weld the plastic together on the bumpers. But now Amazon do a really scaled down little handheld, battery powered, it recharges. Basically, it's like a little fork and it's got little clips that goes in with little squiggles on. But this is really tiny. So you put it in on the plastic where it's snapped and it heats into it. Obviously, it forms a good, strong connection then, and you just trim the clips off.
That's
And
like a corrugated nail.
It is, that's it. And it welds a plastic. I'll put a link to the description on this video, so if any of the viewers would like it, it's only 23 quid and it comes with 1,000 pieces as well. It's cheap as chips.
Oh, right.
It's
Okay.
honestly, it's a brilliant little tool.
That's more money spent.
I used to use if I was repairing plastic on my cars, I used to use the heat gun and the bag ties, the cable ties. I've used that before now. But yeah. Okay.
But it is. I've used it a couple of times now. It works well. It does.
Yeah, put a link in there.
I found it, Luke.
I've got some vouchers.
£22.61 on Amazon.
There you go.
A plastic welder is basically what it's called.
It's plastic welder, yeah.
Welder. So by all means, brilliant, mate. You bugger, because that's now £22.
How much trouble have I got you into now, PJ? What were you up to?
I'm on my own, mate. So I'm only going to fall out with the dog. She'll have to do without food for another week. I can't believe it. I'm joking. She doesn't get underfed. I didn't know about that. That's brilliant, mate.
Good to you, mate.
But the other use for the styrene, Martin, is if you get down to the thin. I'm talking about sort of 0.5 of a millimeter. You can use it as a replacement spring leaf.
Leaf spring,
leaf spring, leaf spring, yeah. So that's another one you can do. When we're talking about, we were having a bit of fun about this when we talked about chassis earlier on, and as much as I rip into Laz about majorette and majorette, majorettes are one of the most brilliant models for
they are
assembly. You can't argue with it. They are fantastic.
Excuse me, mate, gentlemen.
Yeah, their suspension units are very clever.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
It works. Yeah. I didn't know about until I started this hobby. I mean, I'm nearly 60, so 4 years ago, 56, before I found out about majorettes. I didn't even know they existed, and now they're starting to be sold again. If you go into certain shops,
they're very nice. They are on cards and
garden centres.
I've seen a few in the garden centres.
Siku
there are
the garden centres.
Yeah, there are loads of majorettes here, and they do nice models. They do mostly European models, and now they do a premium, like a Hot Wheels premium. They got a tin box, they got a card, and they're really nice. They nice quality. Well, you see, you say that you didn't know about majorettes till you were 56. Before I started to do this, I mean, I knew Matchbox and Corgi, but only the small Corgis I knew. I didn't know, but I'm echoing, I think.
Not sure.
No? Maybe it's just me hearing myself.
Yeah, you are echoing, yeah.
How about now? No,
Yeah,
still.
just mute it for a second, Laz. Testing. Yeah, it's Laz. Yes, you're echoing for whatever reason, mate. I don't know why.
Still?
No,
it's better now.
It's clear now.
So yeah, and you see, I didn't know about Britons, not much about Dinky toys. What else? So all these British brands I didn't know. You see?
Yeah. We take it for granted a lot. I mean, I didn't know about. I didn't realise what I'd got back in the day until later, and what I mean by that is, I had one of the cannons where you used to pull the spring back and it fired matchsticks.
Yeah. They usually,
possibly Britons. Yeah.
They were Britons, and I didn't realise that I knew what Britons were until a lot later on in life. I mean, I know what Matchbox and Dinkies were. They were aimed at the likes of us, with the James
But you
Bond,
see,
all the TV films.
In mainland Europe, Dinky toys, Corgi toys is less available. Matchbox is really popular. Corgi not so much. The little Corgis. Majorette, yes. Majorette, Siku.
Yeah, but you had
Spot
in
on.
Europe.
Yeah.
In Europe, you had them out of Holland and Amsterdam, didn't you? Those small ones
Yeah.
out of there. But you see, a lot of the small companies like Crescent and Budgie, Lone Star. I mean,
Budgie toys. You see, I never
Yeah.
knew Budgie toys till
Yeah.
4 years before.
Charabangs, they all, a lot of them amalgamated into one company. You know, I think I can't remember. It was, I think it's Crescent Motors, Lone Star, or something like that, all joined together. You get a few of those.
Well, I think Budgie toys had a lot of castings very, very similar to Matchbox.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
life. I'm sorry. I've just
Yeah.
had a bit of an epi. For those that don't know, outside of the diecast hobby, I'm a big follower of the NFL and the Chicago Bears, who've been crap for years, and they're beating the Buffalo Bills 33-6. It's like I've woken up in some different time zone.
Twilight zone.
Sorry about that, bored to tears. Yeah. Majorettes are popular in Canada, says Jerry. I would excuse the pun. Is that the French Connection? Because
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
You got that one, didn't you?
I got that. Somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it. But that is possibly the reason why. They're a French brand, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Siku Germany, isn't it? I see Siku Germany.
Yeah, Siku is Germany. Yeah. But Siku, you see, the one popular in Eastern Europe, Siku, is the made in West Germany.
Jerry saying my family are all EastEnders. I understand you guys very well. I don't know if that qualifies EastEnders. I'm a Midlander. Even some of us on the chat on a Friday night can't understand each other. We're all from
Essex. Essex, yeah.
Essex.
What the hell's Essex? Essex, you mean? Yeah, right. Okay.
Essex, yeah.
There you go.
Essex.
You see, to lose it, the more and more you've moved back, the more and more you'll forget how to speak English.
I have problems. I have problems with certain words.
You are, mate. You're brilliant because there's not many of us that can speak two dialects fluently like you do. I mean, Luke
In it.
was with English.
In it. Well, Luke is Chester. That's another country.
We're not going to go there because you'll only shout at me if I say to. Right, so the body. Is there anything left to cover on the body that we've touched on 3D printing? We will come back to that in a further episode. We're still, I think it's still fair to say we're scooting around the edges, Luke, with the 3D printing side of things, finding his feet with it and scanning.
Speak for yourself, PJ.
Well, you're a pro now, aren't you, mate?
He's top man. That's cool and Luke, mate. He's top man.
Tell you what, give him an inch, you take a mile.
I'm really
be careful. Be careful because we're going down on the road to the tavern.
Yeah, we are.
So handbrakes on.
Handbrakes on, boy.
Right, so let's move on to wheels and axles. Whilst we've still got time left, we've just had over an hour. We've still got about 50 minutes left before we've had our 2-hour limit. Wheels and axles, Martin. Wheels and axles. Oh no, I've done what we did, Luke. Laz, wheels and axles. This is putting him on the op now. He doesn't know where to go with this. Where do you start with your wheels and axles?
Well, it depends. It depends which model. On a Lazi Matchbox, I normally look which is the smaller mushroom, and I grind them off so I can take them off. Depends. If the early Matchbox, the early Lazi's, you need to take them off. The later 70s super fast wheels, they normally have a plastic suspension. You can just flip them out. If they're not too bad, you can leave them. And Dinky's, Corgis, again different. If it's crammed on or if you can grind them off. So it depends. But yeah, I normally take them off if I can. I use sandpaper or a sanding pad to first I remove the rust, and then I obviously make them shiny. And when I put them back, I normally use the small hammer to make a mushroom. I know some people use the drill or other methods, but I use the small hammer, and I'll make the mushroom on the axle end of the axle.
Okay.
And I polish up what I can. You know, Dinky's corgis I can polish up, and the Matchbox ones I normally spray them now black, all of them, and then I do the chrome details with a chrome pen. So I normally clean them first. Clean them first, and then I spray them black.
Okay.
And then
wheels and axles.
Wheels and axles. Yeah. There again, it's horses for courses. Depending if you're looking at the bigger models like the Dinkies and the Corgis and stuff like this, you grinding off the end of the axle as per usual. Whatever you're going to use to grind it off or fire it off. I mean, I have a fire which I use, which is smooth one side and rough the other to protect the casting of the hub. Once they're off, I use if they're bent, I've got a metal plate, a thick metal plate, or an anvil and a hammer, and tap them, get them straight. That's the main thing, get them all nice and straight. And then you probably see me do it. I put my axles in the drill and spin it up and use the sandpaper to smooth them out, get all the rust and rubbish off them and stuff like this. With the smaller ones, like Laz has covered with the Matchbox and the Hot Wheels, some of them got that they're nipped in with the metal casting, the base. They're nipped in. You can grind them out and then put them back, because a lot of the wheels turn on the axle. The axle doesn't turn. It's just the actual wheel on the axle, so you can quite well glue that back into its slot with no real problem. There is the devices out there now which Paul Restore uses, and I think Belgian Diecast uses, and I think Michael's got one as well. It's like a spot welder for the end of the axle, to replace them. But I haven't got any of those. You can hammer them over at the end, depending how much room you've got, because sometimes you haven't got a lot of room to play with.
Yes,
I've noticed on some Matchbox toys, some of the bigger Matchbox king size and Super Kings, you haven't got that much play that you'd have in an old Dinky toy. So you've got to be careful when you take the end off, not to take too much material off the end of the axle, to give yourself a bit of room to put them back on again. You know.
Yeah, but you see, if it's too short, you can always cut a new one.
Yeah, you can cut a new one, but if you want to keep the original, what I have done in the past is just, if you look at some of the wheels on some of them, they've got quite a large part of the back of the wheel. You can just sand a fraction off that, and it gives you that little bit more just to peen over the end. If there's plenty of room, I use the grinding wheel on my Dremel or my multi-purpose tool or whatever, and just flat grind it to the top. That gives it an initial burr. I just tap that round with a hammer on that, or you can use the impact driver with the nail punch, get it down with that. There's several different ways to do this, to do it with. But I do be careful though, as some of I found with the Corgi Transporter, was the material that the axles are made out of, especially as like you get into the late 70s, was very soft. You start banging away at that, then you'll find the axle start to bend. It will start to bend in the arm.
Yeah.
So if you replaced it with some other materials, you can buy rod or whatever you want to use. It all depends on the length of it, and I usually found I grip it with some mold grips and keep it steady, so it takes some of when you're banging it, just bang it lightly. I don't use a big heavy hammer. I just use it, tap it round, just gently. That's all it needs, because it doesn't need that much peening over to grip the wheel.
Yeah.
Depending on how much that wheel has worn, if you know what I mean,
It's got to
on the
catch it,
axle.
hasn't it? It's got to
Because
catch it.
otherwise, you do that. That's what I tend to do with my axles and wheels. It's good fun. It's a practice with the hammer. Practice with a hammer, and it's cool. I've just got a comment from Ian. I think, yeah. Laz, have you got a Cadbury's caramel tanker and a Cadbury's cream egg van by Majorette? Both carded. If not, they're yours. There you go.
I don't think I have them, but I'm just thinking I have one ice cream van from Majorette, but I don't know which one is it.
Let me just interpose there and ask Ian or reply to Martin that'll come back to us. Is it the one that's in the actual shape of a Cadbury's cream egg?
I don't think I have them.
Okay. There was a vehicle, and I can't remember who manufactured it. Major may have done it as well, but there was you know what a Cadbury's cream egg is, Laz. You lived over here long enough, but there was one that was actually done in the shape of a vehicle. I've actually seen one I've seen one, a full size one, traveling down the motorway. It was being followed by a Cadbury's cream egg. What the hell is that? Bit disturbed when it overtook me, to be fair, but there you go.
Yeah, so I'll find look, going back to the axles, the corgis, the dinkies, not so bad. You got those held in with the piano wire. Now,
Martin, get Mrs. D to turn the kitchen light back on. We can't see you, son. You've gone black.
Sorry, Martin.
I'm going to go in a minute, so I'll just mention that the fact that with the I lost my track now. Yeah, with the some of the axles are very, very thin. What we're going to think the Dinky Toys Eldorado for starters. The axles on that are really, really, really thin, and they do tend to bend a lot, even when you put the tires on and off. So you have to be very careful with those. The other thing was with the corgi toys with the piano wire. You can, if you've got room, you can lift the wire slightly over the edge and pull it back, and then you can take the axles out that way. But the tendency of doing that is the tendency the wire will bend, and if you're not careful, you won't get it back to shape again. So it's something to be wary of. I'm gonna nip inside and
let's give him a chance to reposition and.
No, you carry on. Talk amongst yourself. Ian's just text me again. I'll tell you before I go. No, just the logos on the sides. He said. Yeah,
okay.
They basically got the logos on the side, lads.
Yeah, I'm just going to refer to Playats as said it was a Corgi cream egg. It was a Corgi 57501. So there you go. That's it was an actual diecast model. Wheels. Okay. Well, I'll chuck in my 2 pence worth for what it's worth. With the wheels, it's worth having a nail. I don't know. I haven't got. I've moved all my tools and I'm having to go off screen to keep fetching stuff. A nail.
I have
extractor.
that.
Yeah, a wheel extractor like Luke's got, but there's also a nail remover, the V-shaped nail remover that I've used in the past, where if you've got one of the old Dinkies with the moon-shaped wheels, hubs, right? Okay, they're on a spline. So I went to a cake shop, because why wouldn't you? And got a lighter. They use it for burning the top of cakes, and I use that. And you heat up the disc or the hub, and you use the nail extractor to just lever behind it gently. You've got to do it gently. And I removed 4 wheels from a Jerry Anderson SPV that way, and it was
I tried that. It did work.
Yeah, it did work. It's just you just got to have patience, be gentle. A lot of this stuff that we talk, whether it's decals, repairs. Patience is the patience. You've got to drive that home. Repetitiveness is another one, another word. You've got to really be persistent.
Practice.
Yeah, practice. But it will come good. Whatever you do will come good. So yeah, heating them up, and it will pry off. Just need a bit of expansion in the material. What else? No, we haven't got it. I don't know what's going on in the Dare household. I've got 3 lights. It looks like a scene from Close Encounters. What's going on there? Yeah.
What's moving?
What the worst one? As much as Majorette is probably the best one. The worst one is Matchbox. I find, and I'm going to call it the clamped axle, where the axle. Laz knows what I mean. He's nodding his head already because I think we've done quite a few 64 scale between us. You've got that clamped in axle, and you've got to use something like a disc grinder on a Dremel. It's a very thin grinder. It's almost like a 10p piece, but thinner. And you've got to grind away at that clamp to get the wheels out.
I've just done one yesterday. It takes ages. Yeah.
Again, well, we're just mentioning patience. You've got to have.
But these are the old ones, the end of 50s, early 60s, like the Coca-Cola van, I think the Ford American Ford station wagon.
I found it in not Speed Kings, the one with the thin wheels on as well. So it was. I think it was a bad. But then again, these cars were never built for the likes of us to take them apart. They were meant to be.
Plus, they were normally the ones with no interior, no base plate. So they were just literally just a chassis, 4 or 6 wheels and 3 axles. That's it.
Yeah.
Or 2 axles.
You can grind away with a very thin. Oh, there we go. I've got the.
It's like the diamond. It's like the diamond. Yeah.
The diamond cutter. So that will go down the clamp, release the wheels. If you go too far, you'll go into the axle. So be very careful. And when you get them out, you're gonna have to super glue it back in with not super glue and baking powder to bond them back in. Now, of course, the other version is to drill the clamps out enough that you can put in brass tubing and drill your wheels out enough to get a piece of brass tubing. If anybody wants to know what the size of the brass tubing is, let me know. I've got it. We get it from eBay. I think me and a friend of ours called Tony Hughes that we haven't spoken to for a while. We nearly collapsed the eBay market on tubing.
You did, yeah.
It's not cheap. Again, you only get something like 6 rods, and they're 600 mil long. But there's an aluminium version, which is very supple, and there's a brass version. Martin, I mentioned to you a guy called Steve's Models that
you did. Yeah.
I'd like to take you to at some point in the future. He sells that kind of stuff. It's like the J-Mo always used to tell me about this Eileen's Emporium, if you remember that. Yeah. It's a bit like that. It does a bit of everything, model making kits, all that kind of thing. I'd love to go. We'd love to go to that. So the idea is you replace your axle with a bit of tubing, and you put in. They're called hairpins, but it's like a very
little tacks, aren't they?
Yeah. But getting them the right size to fit inside your tubing, by God, I went all over the place. Hobbycraft, I did end up at Hobbycraft to get some. You can get them from there. It was the biggest hang-up we'd got because we were always battling against the pull restorer way of spot welding on the end. and an alternate version because nobody got access to this spot welder that Paul Restorer had got, but Michael came up with another. Only
Johan, I think Johan has he has a jewelry spot welder.
That's I've only heard of those this year, so this has been going on quite a while. So yeah, if you want to do it manually, you cut your tubing to the length of your wheels, just a little bit extra, obviously, only 0.5 mil, and bang some hairpins and glue them in. Keep your wheels spinning while you're doing it, so that you know that super glue doesn't stick to the axles.
I think there's a guy on there used to be a seller on eBay who was selling the sets for said models like the Bedford flatbed truck and the lopsided truck. You could buy the actual tube and the pins in a set. You'd get like the 2 actual tubes and the 4 pins. So
it's interesting isn't it, when you think about that. If there's a space in the market for something, somebody's going to fill it. Even if
definitely. Yeah.
Actual spare kit, you wouldn't have thought it, would you? Back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've. I want to leave a bit of time to just
chill out.
Well, let me ask the boys: is there anything else you want to cover in this particular area?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment because
I don't want to.
To be honest with you, I don't want to be late to bed tonight. So I got up early in the morning because we've got Jolly Boys out.
Why? Where are you going tomorrow, Martin?
I don't know. I'm going to meet a bunch of well, yeah.
Steady now.
Steady.
I'm going to meet a bunch of jolly good fellows, and we're going to have a picnic lunch. Yeah,
Michael is on.
Good evening.
Michael.
Good morning.
Yeah,
good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Now, listen, we can't shoot off now because it's now only just 6:30 in Australia.
Yeah, well, he's late. He woke up late.
It's 5:30. It's your own fault, Michael, for not getting up. God bless you. Michael, one of our dear friends, he has to get up at ridiculous o'clock to join us on a Friday night or whenever we're doing the tavern. We've started doing the tavern at 9. You sometimes think, shall we put it back an hour till 10 o'clock? It's leaving it a little bit late for us if we do 10 o'clock. It's leaving it late for Laz because you've got to strike a balance because we're now international. The DMC is international.
International rescue.
It's always been international.
It's always been international. We've got friends from the States, Europe, Australia,
Canada.
Canada.
Some. Well, I don't know about friends from Canada. We've got a couple of friends from Canada.
Scotland.
And
Dubai/Scotland.
Dubai. Glasgow via Dubai. Who'd ever thought that?
Yes.
That's I'd love to hear him in a discussion with somebody in Dubai because they'll be going, "What the hell are you talking about?" He's probably not watching. Bless him. We're talking about Mr. Fraser Martin, who a friend of ours from the tavern. He's not got a YouTube channel, but he will do his damnedest to dial in. And the extremes that some people have gone to get into the tavern, as much as you sometimes think we're driving them away, he goes through a VPN to try and get onto the tavern on a Friday night. So God bless you, Governor. God bless you. Right. Let's do this round table because we've hammered this to death. If anybody's got any questions, please ask before we move on. Hopefully in 2 weeks I'll be up Mopar Fest.
Oh, that sounds good.
Well, I'll pass it on to Mr. Dare then. What's Mopar Fest, Mr. D?
The Mopar Fest is like you heard the Mopar, the American car, haven't you?
Oh, is it like a muscle car event?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah. Sorry, no, I put my hands up when I'm ignorant to something. I know the.
Well, we've lost where I live. We've lost the showground and it's gone. now because the developers are going to build houses on it. So we've lost the modified car shows. We've lost Truck Fest. We've lost all that. So I think next year, I know it's a bit off topic here, but I think next year, forward planning, I think the boys should get together. We should go to Santa Pod. It's just down the road from me. Just down the road from me.
I love it. I love how he says Santa Pod, but it's got a very American name, but it's just down the corner from me, which is Peterborough.
Serious. Seriously, Google it.
I'm on it. I'm all over it, mate. I'm all over it.
Beautiful. It's a good day out. It's a good day out, and you know, bring your earmuffs. Yeah, it's a good day out. Yeah. So
Well,
anyway,
I think.
there you go.
Yeah, I think we should go to Budapest because it's very close to me.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's close to Swab, Budapest.
Lazi, if I could get a ticket on the plane, mate, I'll be over like a flash.
We've got some. We've been talking about this in the tavern. If you think this is getting a little bit risque, the tavern is just something completely different. There's nothing gets.
It's more boring than this one.
Language,
you can teach people a whole new language in the tavern.
Don't give a bad impression of us. No. Move on.
We missed this when we first started. Martin, my friend,
yes.
What have you been doing this week?
Well, I've done the ERF mixer truck. I've got the Land Rover for the Land Rover Challenge. That's the Land Rover Fire Tender. I'm going with that one this time. And we were on about earlier about thin axles. That's got very, very thin axles on it. And that one has. So I'm working on that one, and I'm doing it's an early Matchbox. Yeah, it's the Matchbox number 50. It's the comma pickup. So that's going to be the end of the month one before the purchase and donations. Because I think I'm going to slip in a small one. I'm going to do a small Matchbox. I think once a month if I can. Apologies for that. So yeah, that's. And I've got plans for starting next month. I've got a couple of Bedford tankers, the mobile gas and the milk truck. I've got the Toyota Land Cruiser. I think that's a majorette, Laz, actually. It's a big one, 143. And a Dinky Toys Rolls Royce. I think it's a Phantom 3. Phantom 3, yeah, it's the one with the headlights got dipped down like that on the side, dual headlights, opening bonnet, bonnet opens that way, and the 4 doors on the boot. So that's a good one to do. So that's. I'm just
trying, if you think if there's any Martin Dare fans here, if you think you know him, you don't know him. You don't know him. I'm trying to hang on here without cracking up. Anyway, thanks, mate. Laz, what you been? I know you've been on your travels. I know you've been away for a while, so it's a little bit unfair. Yeah. Have you been up to anything recently?
Yeah, I've completed the Ferrari Matchbox number 73.
Yeah, that's
nice. Thank you. And I've got the little Matchbox Mercedes done today, completed today. It will be at the end of the month video. Diecast restorations without a video. I think it's going to be number 6, video number 6. So that's going to be in there. And I just primed 4 or 5 cars today. The small Matchbox American station wagon. I've got 2 of those. That's going to be number 2 and 3 I've done already. So Ford Anglia, little one Matchbox. And what else I've got? And I've started this Stingray, so I need to do that as well. So I do these ones outside of the channel, so I have a video at the end of the month. Hopefully more than last month. I just had 3 cars. I try to do 4 or 5 every month, so I can have that little mini series, Diecast restorations without a video. on Lazi-low collectibles.
And,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
who's the boss of the channel? Who's the boss of the channel?
I'm the boss. I run the channel.
Checking.
Actually, I did watch one of those videos. I come up on the main line, and I did watch. Welcome to Lazi-low collectibles. I was laughing.
Oh no, it's deadly watching you under here.
Cringe just a little bit.
But to be honest with you, I wanted to make a fun of myself, so I was like, let's make it a little bit like, oh my god, this video is gonna be fantastic. But also I said, let's put a mirror in front of myself, to laugh a little bit. I'm the boss. I run the channel.
He's took some stick over that, but we love it.
But I've lost the phone, so I've lost them footages.
Yeah.
I kept them. I kept them to use it again, but I might do another one.
But even over things like that, we've supported each other. So I'm glad you're back online, mate. It's good to. I know we had a few issues, but it's good that you're back online. Luke, maybe not
Mr.
too much.
Skywalker.
I am not your father, Lazi. Bad news, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
Just called again, PJ. The Land Rover Challenge. Can I enter it if I've already done one a couple of months ago? Can I enter that one?
Let me put it this way: you wouldn't be the first, because I recently saw a post from 2007 where somebody had done one. So yeah, if
I'll do that. Same with you another one.
If it's in this decade.
So I finished my little MG. This was 2 weeks in the making. This every time I went to do something to it, something else come up, so I couldn't finish it.
Beautiful.
I love it.
I'm happy with it. It's nice.
But I don't like it. It's beautiful, but I don't like it. It's too
I've done
shiny.
it for you, so I was going to send you, but I'll keep it now.
No, don't you dare! Don't you dare! It's only
Unlike Martin.
That is.
Unlike Martin, I'm going to try and slip a big one in this month.
Oh, nice. Was that a Charger?
Charger. Yeah. It is a new model, this one. I bought it to do a certain build that I want to do. Obviously, the details will give it away what I'm doing with it.
Oh.
They are so good.
I don't do generally. Everybody's doing generally.
Gotta be done. I've got
25th scale in it. Luke?
Yeah, 124 it is.
124 size of that.
Nice.
The generally has the vector wheels. I've got the files for that and the tip with the tyres. There's a little aerial with the mag mount. I've got that, and also the front bull bar. I've got the file for that as well. So I'm going to print all them soon, and then that'll be coming to the channel.
It's like welcome to the future of diecast building, boys. Well, the rest of us will just give up now, shall we? You know what I mean?
Oh, I enjoy doing it. Keeps me out of trouble.
Mate,
it keeps you in the shed.
You know what? My missus is the happiest she's been for a long time since I've been in here.
Have you got your fold-up bed in there?
Yeah.
It's always nice. It's always nice to have a never take on it anyway, because restoring and it's nice to have. I mean, a lot of the guys do custom the Hot Wheels and stuff like this. It's nice to see people custom doing the bigger stuff as well.
Yeah.
So it makes a refreshing change, shall I say? Yeah, and I think your channel will do well, Luke. Seriously, mate.
Thanks, Martin. Thank you.
I mean, it's almost like the flip side of what Jerry's doing with the state police cars when he in the States. We got a friend called Jerry Monty.
Now you're going to be stumbling over this one. If he's listening, he won't be happy.
Monty.
Jerry M.
Jerry M. We have a friend called Jerry he's now moved to Texas, bless him. We've got a lot of friends, unfortunately, that don't join us in the live chats and things like that, but they will message us or they will post stuff on the DMC Facebook page, and they're good friends of ours. And Jerry has moved from Queens in New York to Texas, but he's a big he's a big collector of 1/25th scale, and what he does is strip them down and convert them into police state cars because he used to be a penitentiary guard. And some of the stuff he does is fantastic. Well, all of the stuff he does is fantastic. Like, and he's just sent me a video of his new property, and to say I'm a little bit jelly is the least of is the best way I can put it. It looks a fantastic spread that he's moved into. So if you see this, Jerry, all the best to you, mate. Jerry M. Montesegur. Oh, he's going to kill me when
Monty.
Just, you know, put your spade down, Paul, and walk away.
You know, even if I was sober, Martin, I don't think I could get it right. Michael is saying, "Oh no, let's go back a few before we."
Yeah, we got 8. We got 8 texts.
Go, Laz. Give me a break. Go off you go.
Kev's Banger Racer said, I'm going to a local classic car show tomorrow, and next Sunday I'll be going Truckfest Southeast.
We should.
And then Michael says, now come to Australia. And Jessica says, within an hour drive of me, I can go to London, Paris, Luxembourg, Scotland, New Prussia, and Prussia, yeah. And then Mick says, Ireland, come to an island in November to our toy fair. And Jessica says, I'm going to do a general leave with a gay pride flag on the roof. Watch the head spin.
Good show.
That'll upset a few people, Jessica, I'll tell you.
And Michael says, bugger the ram.
Yeah. Well, we'll expect to see you at Stafford tomorrow then, Jerry, if it's only in an hour's.
He must have a Land Rover then.
Yeah.
The landy flies.
And bugger the RAM from one Toshiba laptop doesn't fit the Toshiba laptop that has a slice in software, Michael says.
Yeah, but it cost me 55 quid, you Aussie. But anyway, moving on. We had one conversation, me and my good friend friend Michael, and he cost me 55 quid. And that was just Messenger. It wasn't even a live chat. Right, so...
don't pick up the phone next time.
Don't pick up... No, it was bloody Messenger chat.
Don't pick it up.
He's... Anyway, yes, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to give him the gratification. So what have I been doing this week? Right, okay. So the...
I like that.
Any Land Rover I've done this week. If you saw the picture on the DMC Facebook chat, this was a much loved multiply overpainted Land Rover from.
I like the canopy.
Yeah, the canopy. Let's put that back. So that is without canopy. The canopy, Martin will hate this, but it was 3D printed, and I've got a Romanian customer already who wants one. So,
who is it?
Who could it possibly be? But this is just that is proof that canopy was not produced for that model, obviously. But you can manipulate, as Luke knows, you can manipulate these files to scale them down to fit your models. So there's that. Now, so that's what I've been working on. Stafford coming up. We've mentioned that. We've mentioned Paint It Blue. And after that, it's more than 4. So be prepared, boys. You need a vehicle that's got more than 4 wheels. Oh, come on, PJ. You know you need to get that 3D. Oh, come on. You need to get that 3D Open Pi scanner. I'm going to wait for somebody else to get it who might live in the Chester region. I think I've spent enough.
Oh, PJ, I'll end up buying it.
No, it's a tease now. You know what?
I have thought about it, PJ, but then you've got to have the part anyway, so...
You've got to have a what?
You've got to have the part to scan in the first place.
This is true.
I know you can, if you've got say if you're missing a door, for instance, you can do it and mirror it. I understand that.
Yeah. You see, I know a bloke who
Struggling,
I know
I'm
somebody
struggling
who
to
the SWAT area who's got an MG BGT that's only got one door on it. So if somebody was to happen to have a 3D scanner, it probably could do it. So
I know somebody's got a door.
Oh, I'll have to check what door it is then.
You have to let me know, won't you?
I've just realised how much I've got to do before Stafford tomorrow now.
You do. Yeah, that's it. You see.
I am going to bring. I haven't got much to offer this time round. The boys have been. I have to say, and this is truly heartfelt. The generosity of the guys, Martin, Andy, Luke, Lee when he comes as well, JMO when he's been there before, is incredible. We've started. When I talk about the NFL and I'm a Chicago Bears reporter, before and after the match, they have a tailgate, and the tailgaters, they all drive really close to each other, drop the tailgates of their vehicles down and have barbecues and stuff like that, which is kind of what we're going to do tomorrow after the fair. We have a swap meet. It's fantastic. I was blown away last time we did this. The amount of stuff that was swapped between us, and thanks to what we'll do, we'll move on to what we've done this week, to shout outs, and thanks to our community. I'm going to start with Martin, really, because I know Martin does his monthly purchases and gifts. So do you want to give any shout? Is anybody you want to give a shout out to? This is going to be a new section. I've just thought this one up. Anybody you want to give a shout out, Martin? Doesn't have to be anybody that we know. Just somebody that's
I'm just trying. You got me on the up there a little bit there, mate.
I like that. I like that.
You got me there. Yeah.
Do you want me to come back?
But no. I haven't got me notes and letters and anything here. I'd just like to thank anybody who's watching. Jerry, I know Jerry there, who sent that all the way over to that Tonka trailer for me, which is very much appreciated. That was fantastic. And Ian, Mr. Holly, as usual, was sending me some nice stuff. The Jaguar was beautiful. That's going in the collection, and lots of other people who sent donations in. It's surprising. It's really nice. I've got a big parcel from Fraser Martin today, but that's not diecast related. We could, it's very interesting. It's more of a second hobby that I have, which is to do with World War One. But anyway, regardless of that, I'd just like to thank anybody who has sent donations in. Thank you very much. It's really much appreciated, and it's great. It really is.
I like the fact that we've caught you on the up because it took you by surprise. But you
did.
Yeah.
And it won't get forgotten. It will not get forgotten.
But it's hey, Boston. Yeah.
Well, that bottle of whiskey I bought, I was bringing through tomorrow. I'm just going to take it out and truck in a minute. Bring it back in the house.
I'll have it, Martin. Give it.
No, but just go to show how heartfelt it is. So, Luke,
it is,
any donations or from anybody?
Not really any demand. Actually, Martin, you mentioned Ian sent me something, didn't you?
Yeah. Ian, I've got a package for you, my friend. Ian sent.
Obviously, I'd just like to thank Ian for that, mate. I haven't received it yet, but I think Martin's going to pass me his number tomorrow, aren't you, Martin?
Yeah.
So I'll obviously thanks. So I will message you tomorrow. I'd just like to thank everybody that tunes in every week, not only on here but on my channel as well. It really is appreciated, and thanks a lot for your support.
Before you go, Mick, I've seen Mick's in the chat, and he just says, "I'm off. I'll see you Friday."
Hey, mate.
I'll just come back to you before you go there, Mick. Laz, you had any donations or gifts this month? And I want to give a shout out to Andy Bourne, who sends decals out to Everybody.
I did
left,
get,
right, and
yeah, I
centre.
did get some from him, but I don't get donations because I think because I'm not in the UK. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone who's watching the channel really, and commenting, taking the time to comment as well. Give a like. I have regular people who text normally. I mean, who comments on the channel. They always the same people, but I know that a lot of people don't comment. They just watch and then they move on to the next video. So I would like to thank everybody really who stays subscribed as well, not just to watch, to stay subscribed. Even if you're unsubscribed, thank you for staying with me for a period of time. So yeah, and yeah, whoever supports the channel with the comment, with the anything, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm not the most.
Is Mick still on, PJ? Is Mick still
Still
on?
there? Mick, give us a thumbs up if you're still there. There's a bit of a delay, about 25 seconds, so give us a thumbs
Yeah.
up, Mick, if you're still there.
Because I've got, if he's still there, I've found his trailer that he wanted for his Scammell. Tell him.
Oh, he'll
If he's
wet
there,
himself when he
Mick.
finds that out, yeah.
Yeah, I've got your. What I'm going to do, I'll take it with me to Stafford tomorrow, and I'll get to Andy because I think Andy sends you parcels on a regular basis, so you can chuck it in with there because they're just one-off. It's going to be. So, if not, I'll message him.
I have so many.
Thank you, Play Apps.
I have. There's a funny video on YouTube. You can fill in the rest of the words yourselves, and it's a song, and it's done in a steampunk way, and it's got, I've only so many F's to give. You can fill in the rest of the words yourself, but if you look it up, it's so funny. I've only so many thanks to give, and my thanks start with aforementioned Mick, who sent me a Jerry Anderson cheetah.
Nice.
I didn't even know A, that this was available, and B, that it was made by Corgi.
Opa.
I have opened it up. When I first looked at it on the base, if Mr. Ian Ulley is still there, he'll be interested in this. It's got 3 screws, so I thought this was going to come apart so easily. But when I looked inside the mechanism, it's a little bit more complicated than I expected. So I'm not going to be doing much to that other than put it on my Jerry Anderson collection shelf.
Is it a pullback then, Paul?
No, it's a push. I was going to say what's the alternative to that, but it's obviously a push forward. So you push it forward more, and
oh right, yeah, okay,
work on the arm. Yeah. The wings come out and it comes up.
Oh right, so, yeah.
Thanks to that to Mick, Mr. Ian Ulley, you sir are a I don't mind saying this on YouTube, a fucking hero to a lot of us. I had a parcel. I was advised last time through Martin that I was going to get a parcel from Mr. Ian Ulley, and PJ, did you get the Rhino or Falcon? No, I've only got the cheetah, which Mick sent me so far, Play Apps. But I'm looking for a Rhino. Sorry, the Rhino. I take it the Falcon is the new Angel, and the Rhino is the new SPV. Well, I know the Rhino is the new SPV, and it looks pretty awesome. But if anybody...
Put your hand in your pocket. You'll be putting your hand in your pocket tomorrow, then, mate. For the collectors.
Yeah. If anybody's got a Rhino or Falcon, wow, yeah, they will find a good home in the Jerry Anderson collection. That being said, okay, let me get through this and we'll draw this in. I have to say this and not get a little bit welled up. Martin said to me that you're going to get a parcel from Ian Ulley. I know Ian has been a big supporter of Martin and Bob Willis in the past. Bob's Corgi restorations. And I got this package come through the door, and it's about the size of an oversized shoebox, and the stuff that was inside it, because Ian had found out that I was a Jerry Anderson fan, and especially a UFO fan of Jerry Anderson, which means I could see Luke going, what the hell is he talking about now? Because I've got no idea what UFO is. And Laz is probably about the same. There's only probably me and Martin that know this kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to give you a quick sample of the stuff that Ian sent to me, specifically because I'm going to do a one-off Jerry Anderson collection of what I've got on my Midlife Models YouTube channel. So it'll be everything I've got from Jerry Anderson. And if anybody wants to, this is not a plead or anything. If anybody wants to send anything Jerry Anderson related, I've had stuff coming from Andy and Andy Bourne and other people, Martin, Michael. Anyway, so a Jerry Anderson UF novel. I didn't even know it existed. Came through. Ian sent me portraits of the cast. Gabrielle Drake. If you remember these purple wigs, you always thought to yourself, why are they wearing purple wigs? I don't know. It was a Jerry Anderson, Sylvia Anderson thing. She was into fashion. The star of the show, Mr. Ed Bishop, who played Ed Straker, who was the commander of Shadow. And George Sewell, who was his second in command. I've got some. I'm not going to show them all in because I don't want to spoil the reveal on everything. But one thing that he did send me that blew my mind was a shadow patch. Now, everybody that was in the series that was Pop Shadow, the underground operation, wore a shadow patch. And I'm going to try and share my screen. So if this goes all south, my fault. Share screen. Let's do it. Let's try this. Share. There we go. So this patch that I have in my hand is the patch that's on the uniform of a Mr. Patrick Allen in an episode called Time Lash. And these were almost like Velcro patches that they would take off, keep for a further episode so they didn't have to reprint them and do them all over again. Ian has included a letter. I hope you please forgive me, Ian, for reading this out. But the amount of stuff he's sent me is incredible. Scripts, you name it. I've even got cigarettes from the candy cigarettes from when we were kids back in the day. I'm going to stop the screen share. Dear Paul, shadow costume staff emblem, screen worn by actor Patrick Allen in the episode Time Lash. And I have watched that episode, Ian. He also, I can't believe this, it blew my mind. He sent me 2 DVD box sets, as well as I'll come back to Mick in a second. Mick sent me the same thing for Thunderbirds, but Ian has sent me the UFO DVD box set. The episode Time Lash aired in the UK 17th of 71, Luke. Do you remember 71? No, it's
not even a twinkle then, mate.
Was your dad a twinkle in 70? Probably not.
I hope so.
Regional times varied. Ian is so brilliant at his detail. But possible first ATV Midland. God, Mark, can you remember ATV Midlands?
Yeah.
Lord above. Yorkshire transmitters. Patrick played the character Turner, the radar operator. The costume got damaged after a few fights and fast-paced screens he had with Ed Bishop, aforementioned Ed Bishop, who played Ed Straker. This was a very fast-paced episode. It was obtained by an enthusiast who gave it to his child, kept it for decades, and then passed it on to a dealer to whom I purchased. So Ian purchased it off this dealer a few years ago. Patrick Allen, the guy in the picture, he was a British actor and voice. I remember Patrick Allen and seeing him in various stuff in the 70s. You know, like crikey. What was his name? Something Jason King and episodes like that back in the day. He was a British actor and voiceover artist, well known for TV adverts such as Barrett Holmes, yeah.
No, Barrett Holmes. Oh.
Yeah, and a lot of Polaroid Action Man adverts. The runner obtained it at the end of the first and only series. It's interesting that UFO only did one series, but it was split into 2 box sets because I think it was 21 episodes, something like that. And he worked at Pinewood Studios, London, England. Century 21 Studios. Jerry Anderson had his own studios called Century 21 Studios. Enjoy and wear it with pride. Ian, I will not wear it with pride, but I will definitely keep it with pride. I am honoured that you sent this to me. It blew my mind. Thank you, sir. Although I can't get up next week, we will endeavour. Me and Mart have been talking about this. We will endeavour to try and have a day out. I have to get a dog sitter more than anything else, which is the biggest problem. We will try and endeavour when Mark can spare the time.
It's actually on Google Maps today, going out Chester way. It's about 3 hours from me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trek, but I think if we do this, we've aforementioned trips out. We're talking about getting. Michael travels 9 hours just to get to work, and we grumble if we have to travel 45 minutes. But I think because we've had so many donations, gifts, and that kind of thing, it's only right that we try and get out and visit people where we can. That's for me and Mark. We're in the Midlands. We can pretty much get everywhere. Pretty much, he's a bit more south than I am. But we will try and get round to getting to toy fairs, etc. We were talking about going to Holland. Me and Martin are appreciators of World War. We're on about going to Holland at some point. Anything else, boys?
No, I'm done.
We're running. We're the tank. Go, Luke.
I forgot before, PJ. I'd just like to say thanks to Martin, Kev, and Andy just for they have donated to me in the past, especially Andy the decals and models. And Martin, you've sent me stuff as well, and also Kev. So just want to get that across. I forgot to mention it before. So cheers for that, guys.
All right, mate.
You're welcome, Luke.
Just picking up on the chat, and PJ puts Batman's. He means to say Batmobiles in the dustbin as well. There's a story behind that. It was a pure accident. PJ, do you still want that Batmobile I showed you? That's the other side of my hobby. I collect Batman related memorabilia, especially Batmobile. Yes, Kev. My apologies. I didn't send me address. I thought I'd send it to you in the messenger before. Jerry, I remember Fireball, XL5, and Stingray. I think.
Yeah, Stingray. Yeah. I like a bit of Stingray. And Fireball XL5. That was a cool program.
I used to, apart from the actual puppet series, the music alone was these classic theme tunes.
Well, I think Thunderbirds was the music on Thunderbirds when things were happening was really psyched you up, you know. Really sort of you got into it and think, oh, what's going to happen next? You know, brilliant. Yeah.
I remember if you watch, sometimes you'll see on YouTube the changing of the guards.
Yeah.
And the royal band come out and they played the Thunderbird theme while they were doing the changing of the guards. It was amazing. Supercar 2, yes. Supercar 2 was probably just a little bit before me, but I know what that is. I can only do toy fairs near me at the moment. Thanks, Lukey. Barry Gray music. Thanks, Play-Ups. Yeah, Barry Gray. Did so many iconic theme tunes. I don't think we've missed much, boys. We've covered everything. Please, please support us on Patreon if you can help us. It's much appreciated. My thanks, as always, to my cohorts, Laz, Luke, Martin. Martin, Luke, look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Laz, just another disappointment, really, Laz. Just another disappointment. And my thanks, PJ, from myself to everybody in the chat that keeps following us and keeping us going. It means the world to us.
It does. It does. Thanks very much.
We're loving doing this every time we do it. We never think we're going to fill the spot, but somehow
we ramble on, don't we?
There you go. There you go. And we'll see in a fortnight. Who knows what's going to be happening in a fortnight's time? It might be reassembly. I can't remember what the topic is. We may have a guest. Who knows? But come back and join us in a fortnight's time. Follow us on the Facebook page, the DMC. Follow us on YouTube at the DMC channel. And please subscribe. We'd like to boost the channel even more. The more people subscribe, as we're all YouTubers, the more people come and watch the channel. Thank you all, Ian, and we'll see you.
Ian says you're welcome, PJ, and he look forward to seeing us.
Not a problem, Ian. You are legendary status just lately, I think, from everybody. Everybody's got a shout out for Ian. Right, okay, we're out of here, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks time.
Goodbye.
Guys.
Good night. Thank you for watching.
Good night.
Bye,
Good night
guys.
from me.
Girls,
Good night from me.
everyone.
Good night.
Bonjour.
From me.